Happy Halloween! I've got a bottle of Smokehead Whisky, so I'm going to be turning some whiskey-based cocktails into some smoky whiskey cocktails. Just for a little bit of spooky Halloween fun. You can't have any. You get snappy when you drink scotch. Hey guys, I'm Nath Martin, the Whiskey Scribe. I'm a whiskey enthusiast and I love all things whiskey. But taste is subjective. There's a lot of different whiskies out there and a lot of different ways to enjoy them. So whether you consider yourself a connoisseur or you're just looking to understand more about whiskey, let's explore it all together. If you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button. I put up regular whiskey review videos and some educational pieces. You can also follow me over on Instagram. Now I was recently sent this cocktail pack from Smokehead Whisky in order to create some Halloween cocktails. The pack itself has got a lot in there. You've got your original Smokehead Whisky, there's some awesome cocktail glasses, a shaker, a jig. It also included a tray for making some skull-shaped ice cubes, so you'll see that in a second. But the thing I really wanted to touch on first is that Smokehead, as a whiskey, is perfectly good to drink neat as it is. So this is an independent bottling of an undisclosed Islay whiskey. So this is actually a single malt. It's 40% ABV, aged in ex-bourbon casks, and just really enjoyable neat and absolutely full-bodied. On the nose, you've instantly got some really earthy wood sort of style smoke going on in there. There's a little bit of lemon and some other little spicy notes like ginger on the palate. There's a really good balance between the sweetness and the smoke happening in there. It's not quite as sharp and in your face as some of your Islay Peats, but it's still unmistakably an Islay single malt. And the finish that lingers around is, it's got a little bit of spiciness. The smoke, it's funny, on the palate the smoke hits you at first, then you get other flavors and the smoke comes back, and the same thing happens on the finish. You've got this smoke lingering around, it recedes a little bit to get some sort of citrus and even plummy sort of notes, and then the smoke just comes back to revisit you again. So Smokehead on its own is a really enjoyable single malt to drink. However, the point of this was to make cocktails, and they included in the set Tricks, Treat and Peat, 10 spirit-shaking cocktail recipes for Halloween. Now the cocktails that are in here involve a lot of really crafty ingredients. I used to be a cocktail bartender 20 odd years ago, and I have to say, you guys have stepped up the game, you've gotten fancy. We had one type of sugar syrup, you had simple syrup. Now there's different types that have different flavors. You've got all these different types of bitters. We just had Angostura, Chambeau. You know what, in all fairness, Chambeau, I was actually waitering at the launch event in Australia when Chambeau first got released in Australia. But I don't have most of these ingredients at home, and a lot of other whiskey drinkers don't either. So what I'm going to take you through here is some classic whiskey-based cocktails that are really simple and easy to make at home, that are just kind of amplified when you use a peated whiskey. That extra element of smoke just adds an extra nuance to it. So we're going to start with a Smoky Martini. This is a bit of a pre-dinner drink. You're going to start off with a ice cold martini glass and add in there just a splash of peated whiskey. Swirl that around in the glass. So you want the flavor to be in there. And then you're going to make the actual martini. And thankfully, I've got Love Vodka Organic. This is a really cool bottle. It's a Polish-made vodka that's been made specifically for Australians. And the fact that it's got those skulls and roses on it just fits in nicely with Halloween. In fact, it fits in nicely with this. They're like a romantic couple. We're gonna do 5 parts vodka because, you know, a martini is not made for the weak of heart.
Sorry, did you say 5 parts vodka?
5 parts vodka, 1 part dry vermouth. 5 parts vodka, 1 part dry vermouth. Stir well. Strain. And then we garnish this one with just a twist of lemon. Give it a little bit of a spritz from it as well. Now, doesn't that look fancy? To your health, Mr. Bond. That's nice. I have to say, when it comes to dry martinis, I'm not the biggest fan of the flavor of the vermouth. That little bit of smokiness in there, it's not extremely strong, but it's just enough to sort of counter that and give it a bit of a different edge. What do you think?
Hi guys, it's Jess. I don't normally like martinis because I don't like drinking peat thinner, but that's all right. I think the peat helps massively. It actually gives it some flavour. Yeah. And I don't normally like heavily peated whiskey, so this is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah. And if you wanted to step it up, you could have replaced one of the shots of vodka with a full pour of peated whiskey. But the idea of this one is that it's still a martini with just like a faint little bit of a Scottish twinge on it. So the next cocktail, you could technically call either a Rob Roy or a Manhattan. And that's because both the Rob Roy and the Manhattans are very similar cocktails, and the primary difference between them is the whiskey you're actually using. So Rob Roy is built on Scotch, whereas your Manhattan is usually done using either a rye whiskey or a bourbon. So if we're swapping the whiskey out for a peated whiskey, they kind of become the same. It's a Smoky Rob Manhattan, maybe? Ranhattan? I don't know. Anyway, so this next one is either a Smoky Rob Roy or a Smoky Manhattan. So if we're making it as a Rob Roy, this is another classic stirred cocktail. So you're gonna start with an old-fashioned glass. I've got my little Smokehead ones here. And you're gonna add a single large ice cube. These are the ice cubes. Trying to get this around so I can actually show it to you. This is the little skull ice cubes that we're able to make with the ice cube tray that came with the cocktail pack, which is really cool. I love me a fancy ice cube. Then you're gonna grab a mixing glass with ice, and you're gonna add in 2 parts Smokehead, 1 part sweet vermouth. So we got 1, and when I say part, what we're talking about is a shot. So in Australia and most other countries using the metric system, that's 30 ml. I think in America, you guys will call it an ounce is each shot or each part. So 2 parts Smokehead whiskey, 1 part sweet vermouth. Keep in mind, there's a difference between sweet vermouth and dry vermouth, and they're not interchangeable in cocktails. Or if you do change them, you end up with a very different drink. A dash or 2 of bitters, and then we stir. If you're ever at a loss of how many times to stir it, I've always been told 50, but then I've heard some bartenders say for luck do 52 because there's 52 weeks in a year. And then you're just going to strain it over your... I angled that completely wrong.
Why?
I did that so badly.
Oh my god.
It's been a while since I've done bartending. And add a twist of lemon to make your Smoky Rob Roy. If you're going to do this as a Manhattan, it would be in a cocktail glass with a macerated cherry, the Italian style cherries. But, slange. Ooh, that's interesting. That's quite different. That's a bit different to what I expected.
Is it my turn to taste now?
It is your turn to taste.
I was too keen. Sorry, you weren't finished.
You have your taste. That's not for you, is it?
That is not for me. It is... I feel like the martini that we had before, the vodka, it kind of dulled down the peat a little bit, which is probably why I liked it. Whereas I feel like the sweet vermouth, the dryness of the vermouth, it intensifies the peatiness. So if that's what you like, that's probably great. It's not what I like. I did not like that. I'm going to drink more of the martini now to get that taste out of my mouth.
Also, the vermouth, although it's sweet vermouth, it still adds an element of bitterness in there, which
It's okay, I just spilled it all over my phone, guys. It's fine. Don't mind me.
Yeah, so if you like Negronis, this is kind of like a dialed, like in terms of the bitterness on there, this is like a dialed back version of that. I personally don't like Negronis, but I do like this. I like that there's this interplay between sweet, bitter, and smoke. But yeah, that's a really interesting one. I have to say, That's probably turned out the most uniquely out of the way that I thought they would, because like I said, I have peated old fashions all the time, and that's literally just an old fashioned with an element of smoke, whereas the interplay that's going on here is quite different. And there's a skull in the glass, which is cool.
Oh, did you hear that thunder?
I did hear that thunder.
Damn.
Halloween! I'm just resetting my palate with the smoky whiskey between each cocktail, because it's Halloween. So the next one, or the last one, is a smoky whiskey sour. So this is probably the one that I think is going to turn out to be my favorite in terms of adding that smoky element to it. It's also kind of like a little bit more of an interesting cocktail because you've got some egg white in there. So I'm going to start with a shaker full of ice. We've got our Smokehead Whisky shaker. And then I'm going to add 2 parts Smokehead Whisky. 1, 2, 1 part lemon juice. A dash or 2 of bitters. Maple syrup, 20 ml of maple syrup, not the,
That's a lot.
it's instead of the sugar syrup. And an egg white. Let's see how I manage this. An egg. Tell you what, the structural integrity of eggshells these days is just not what it used to be, said the old man.
I was going to say. Okay, Grandpa Simpson.
Just feel like we're undernourishing our chickens. So we shake this with ice. Now, this is one of the interesting things with this one. You have to strain it out. God, the never-ending story. So you have to strain it out, remove the ice from the shaker, put it back in and shake it without ice. It's probably worth noting how tricky some of these cocktails are to make. So when you're asking the bartender to do it, and the bar is 5 deep, and they roll their eyes when you ask for a whiskey sour, they're not the jerk. Okay, shaken without ice, grab your old fashioned, add another skull-shaped ice cube, and then you do need a strainer to strain this one. I'm not a bartender. The bartenders will have a normal glass size one of these things, but this is what you need to strain it to make this cocktail. Perfect. And then lastly, we add just a teeny little bit of bitters to the top, just to give it a little bit of color in the froth there. So this is, after the mess is all cleared, a smoky whiskey sour. That is definitely my favorite. You want to try that? I know you usually like whiskey sours.
I do like whiskey sour. Aw, you guys can't see, but the bitters made a face. There's a face.
There is too. I like whiskey.
We're not drunk. Ooh, that is a delicious whiskey sour.
I'll let you finish that one.
Oh, it's good. It's very good. I was a bit dubious because the colour after you shook it looks like watered down milk tea, but I mean, I also like milk tea, it's fine.
Cool. Nice.
Very, very good.
Okay, so I think the whiskey sour, the smoky whiskey sour is the combined favourite. Yes. All right, so that was some smoky Halloween cocktails. Hopefully that gives you something fun to play with this Halloween. We're gonna finish off all the cocktails that we've poured now. Gonna get lit, but not you. Where are you going? Anyway, enjoy what's in your glass, have a great Halloween, always be willing to try something new in a cocktail, and slange. Where are you going?